Live from beautiful Bristol, Tennessee, this is Braver Than the Rest, your favorite podcast on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. As always, joining us tonight is Jared at the desk and Big Ben over there on the other side. We got a lot going on, gentlemen.
Holy moly.
Just a little.
I've realized how leading up to the election and leading up to inauguration, I felt this like I was stressed all the time.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I get amped up about talking about the things that are going on. You know, it's not. You can get through it without doom and gloom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's not doom and gloom. It's almost like I feel like Veruca Salt at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
That's weird. Wait, Veruca Salt. Which one was
Veruca was the one that got turned into
Purple.
a
the
blueberry
purple.
or whatever she was. Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed. There's so much happening, and you just go, I can't. You can't take it all in like a child at Disney World. Like you walk in, and it's just, this is too much. I am oversensitized, as are our friends across the aisle in the Democratic Party. They have no idea what to do.
They don't.
They are. First of all,
they're holding yelling fests outside of the Capitol.
I mean, they are just, and talk about promoting insurrection.
Yeah.
I mean,
literally.
It's like they are literally.
Yeah.
Like, but it's too late because it's already done. He's in. So,
Well, and I think they're trying to unpack a lot of this. They're, like you were saying, they got caught off guard, and he just keeps going. He had all of this in the queue. He has, I think, a succinct plan on a phased plan on how this stuff is getting released. And there's certain things he's still negotiating, but it's happening so fast. It takes a lot of time to get the lefties to come out and start whooping and hollering in the streets. You got to organize. They should have.
Which one are we going to
this months ago?
yeah,
which one are today?
Right. What are we going to do today? I mean, you've got millions of. The CIA has been told basically to pack their bags.
Yep.
FBI, pack your bags. And I don't. The problem is the government is the only ones that are having a problem with that. I haven't heard too many civilians go like, no, we can't lose them.
No.
When it's
And now it's talk of. Dude, look at the picture, man. That one, I'm glad. That's perfect.
I've got the video too.
Mac, that is the dude. How old is Maxine Waters? Oh my goodness.
She's older than Methuselah, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I love it. I love this headline. Democrats warn Trump's unelected shadow government is dismantling their unelected shadow government.
Yes.
It's spot on.
It is.
Do you remember? Did you all remember the tweet that I sent you? Or I think it was an X. I keep saying tweet. It's years. It's been years now. And the X, Benny Johnson posted.
Yes, this is good.
Him.
Yep.
And in response to that, this shadow government, Alex Soros Chuck Schumer says an unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. Reposted by Alex Soros, George Soros' son.
It's so great.
Oh,
It's so great.
mercy.
And then the
The
pictures.
irony is so
The
rich.
picture afterwards of the unelected government, like who was in the picture.
In this this one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Alex Soros.
That's Alex.
So that's
Soros.
Alex
Yeah.
Soros.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's with all of them.
he is with all of them, and nobody elected him. Right.
No.
That's right.
No.
So there he is. Is that Michelle Obama?
You got
No, that's Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine. Oh.
No. I'm talking about the bottom middle.
know, bro.
The guy in the suit. Sorry.
Is that Michael?
The bottom,
Sorry. I'm talking
bottom-
about the guy in the middle on the bottom.
That's Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
that's-
Very Michelle Obama.
And that's the guy at the bottom left.
Very, very Michelle Obama.
That is Reverend now.
Oh,
Baptist Reverend
down in Georgia.
Yes.
Raphael Warnock.
Raphael Warnock.
There
Yes.
you go.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Reverend Warnock.
That's right.
Yep.
How come? How do these guys get
Well, there's Barack and Alec. Where is Michael?
That's a good question.
That is what I heard. It's a little rocky.
there's a whole thing about Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston
That's what they're
sneaking in there.
saying. That's what they're saying.
I mean, that's.
I don't buy it. Do you buy it?
I don't know if I buy it or not, but that's like a bicycle I wouldn't want to get on.
You think she's a man?
Jennifer?
No.
Who, Mike? I mean,
Makes you think a little bit, though, doesn't it?
It does. People, because all over it's always creeps its way into your
ridiculous. I think she's a man. I think she's more of a man than her husband is.
Yeah, well, yeah,
how's that?
That one.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can tell who wears the pants in the family.
She can bench more than he can.
I think
she probably can bench more than she.
Yep.
Yeah, she's diesel. She is straight diesel.
And I don't even try.
I had to post this troll because
Tim Walz has been on a roll in a bad way.
Tim Walz was, and look what Elon said. So down at the bottom.
Gosh, he's so good.
His trolling is level 12, man.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is the greatest.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that he's doing it, or do you think that he's got people doing it for him?
That's a good question. He does it. Okay.
I think he does.
I think he probably does too, because his responses he's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty consistently like,
because you don't know, because I don't know if I think Trump may do some of his. Biden obviously didn't do any of his.
No.
Because he would be speaking and there would be one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and you saw Karine Jean-Pierre.
Yeah,
she
that mess
got
up.
busted on her Twitter account posting as the president.
Really?
Yeah, it was either her Twitter or her Instagram.
I did not see that.
And it was so this faux pas, it was like, oopsie, it was Karine Jean-Pierre sending out.
Little plug tonight, Waterloo Blackberry Lemonade.
Show is sponsored by Waterloo.
That is
That good?
I'll do
it is super.
There you go.
It is
Close up for the crowd. Waterloo.
This is super refreshing. I just
Unlike Olipop, where are they from? Olipop's in Oakland. That's not
Oakland.
best. Waterloo is
Waterloo is from Austin, so
well, it's
much.
getting closer.
not much.
Yeah,
but
it's the right state. It's the wrong
Yes,
city.
right state. Yes.
so yeah, we've got a ton going on. Okay, I want us to start tonight. And Jared, I know that Continued Freedom has done a few episodes on what has happened. And if you're not a subscriber to Continued Freedom, I would encourage you to jump on. Jared does more homework and more research than I mean, honestly, is if political current events could be a doctorate.
There we go. Yep.
He'd be a surgeon. I think.
Yes.
So
only with politics, you wouldn't want me to be an expert.
He is continuing freedom.
That's right, single-handedly, actually. So, but we need to pick. We need to pick like 3 lanes tonight. Mm-hmm. I think that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Because there is just so much that has happened over the past week, 2 weeks. But just this week alone, you've got us. You got Gaza. Talk about Gaza.
Oh my God!
Oh wow!
Yes, that's a whole show.
And the Arab world is like no, and so many foreign countries are like no. But none of that matters. What matters is what Israel decides to do with Gaza, and if they're like, hey, you know what, you all, and it does make a lot of sense. Come on in, take control.
Yep.
We'll rebuild it, and they're not going to be hurling rockets over the fence anymore. It makes sense. It's a peacekeeping move.
It is
times 1,000.
Yep.
Which, why has it taken this long?
It is a move that I don't think anybody else would have thought of except him.
I agree.
He just has that mindset.
He just has got that mindset. We're going to buy Greenland. I mean, he's just got this mindset of, hey, we're going to go ahead and tariff you 25%. And then what happens? You know what we'll do? We'll send 10,000 troops to the border. Oh, all right. Well, we're going to hold off on the tariffs then.
God, just mind games, dude.
It's just unbelievable.
Oh my God.
And it's worked up to this point. I will say, I've been thinking about this whole Gaza thing, and I think that's just his big ask, because I would not be a fan of us doing something like that in Gaza.
My wife says the exact. Yeah, my wife.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, my beef with the whole Gaza thing. And we could spend a whole hour on that one, but we'll get into USAID in a minute. But that one is a huge deal that he said that in front of Bibi Netanyahu, in front of the whole world. And you could kind of see Bibi Netanyahu like shift a little bit, like, okay, well, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But you know what it's going to do? It's going to make these Arab players come to the table.
It will, but he couldn't do that. If we did, we're going to have troops there. Troops there means we're going to get into a conflict with Iran. If we get in a conflict with Iran, there's World War III. So I think that, so obviously something has to happen
Absolutely.
to repair that place and to get Hamas out of it, but not us. So I think it's his big ask. That's my hope, is that it's just.
I agree with you, and I do believe this. I think that there is this element of, so it's been broken so long that obviously nothing is going to fix it. You can't offer a 2-state solution. They've been trying to do that forever.
Yeah. Have you seen the strip? Those pictures that they sent?
There's nothing left of it.
I had no idea it was like that.
Yeah. It's
wow.
There's nothing left.
It's a parking lot. I mean,
and so you look at that and go, all right, we've offered 2-state solutions for how long? We've tried to work together for how long? They just can't keep their hand grenades in their own pockets. It's like they're gonna hurl stuff at Israel. They can't stop themselves from doing it. Why? Because since the beginning, that's right. They don't have a choice. This is their history. Because they're driven by motives that are not of God.
Yep.
And I'm not saying Israel is in the, there's going to be people that are going to be like, I can't believe you said that. But Israel is not acting as a godly nation. Don't get me wrong.
Right. But
they are God's chosen people, which is why they hate them so much.
Yep.
And so
it's a lose-lose when it comes to, Islam and Jewish relations. Like people say, well, there's going to be peace in the Middle East.
No.
Yeah. So long as Israel exists as an independent nation, it won't happen because the people around them will not.
We got to we got to ramp that up a little bit, because as long as Islam exists as a religion, there will not be peace, not only in the Middle East, but globally.
Right.
Unless the entire globe submits to Islam.
Yeah.
And then there can be peace. But until and I decide, until my wife puts on a burqa, right?
Yeah. Whew.
No peace.
Right.
It's over. So there can't be peace there. There's no 2-state solution.
Nope.
So I think what he's trying to do is get these people who have not, Egypt won't let Hamas in. All these countries are like, we want nothing to do with what's happening here.
Egypt, Jordan, none of them.
And I think he's saying, y'all better just come to the table, because you're at least civil. You get it.
Right.
So,
and I think that,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say this. So getting into the what everybody saw in the thumbnail, so the folks watching, was all around USAID. It was, the building burning to the ground, which is essentially what they've done.
Yeah.
And this is, we'll kick it off with this. This is a history, very, very short video, but it's Glenn Beck who has interjected USAID into a lot of his programs over the years.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so let's listen.
I have a picture here of an Al-Qaeda leader, and they are in a USAID tent. Look who signed the check for the initial $200,000 payment to the Islamic Relief Agency, the United States Agency for International Development. The more you look into USAID, the more shocked you will become. USAID was running a top-secret espionage program to undermine Cuba and push people to dissent. Now, let me show you how much money we're talking about. It included a $1 billion sovereign loan guarantee, $320 million in general assistance. So where else beside the NIH has money been coming from? By far, the largest donors are from USAID and the Department of Defense. Judicial Watch found that the U.S. State Department and USAID had been giving millions to the Macedonian arm of George Soros's Open Society Foundation.
Yep.
What for? To train youth movements.
So USAID, and those are always, they're known by anybody who pays attention as CIA fronts. This is, the USAID comes into a country, they start doing things, and next thing you know, we've got a revolution on our hands because that's the CIA.
Boom. Okay. Good job, Blaze. But yeah, so this is the that goes all the way back to 2013, his stuff. And go back to 2013, it's been going on. I was dealing with USAID when I was in Iraq. I dealt with USAID when I was in Afghanistan the first time, briefly with USAID then. But in Iraq, I worked right in the same area as them. And you could tell, they say we're the State Department. the stuff they're doing didn't matter what the soldiers on the ground, the people who were actually responsible for infrastructure development, they did their own thing and manipulated their own little chunk of Iraq, and they were doing it all over Iraq, so all over the entire country. And yeah, it's true. A lot of times it undermines what our interests are, which is what Marco Rubio was talking about the other day. He said, yeah, USAID's a lot of times doesn't align with the goals and objectives of the administration that's in. They just act as their own little organization.
And I think until now, every administration has just been like, this is just how it is. We don't really deal with them. They're on their own. Because I was listening today on my drive to Clay and Buck, and they were talking about, because, Clay worked in the CIA, right? And
Clay Travis?
Yeah. Or it might have been Buck. One of them.
Buck, I think Buck Sexton.
Either of them, really?
Yeah, one of them was an analyst for the CIA. And he said,
sure it was Buck.
They're like, we're untouchable. We're untouchable. And I got to thinking about that in a sense, yeah, because they work so separate from our government. No matter who is in charge,
Right.
They're doing their own thing all around the world. They've got their hands out into so many different places.
Yep.
And I mean, we've all seen, The Bourne Identity and all those movies, and you go, that's just fit, that's just a stretch. Well, is it though? Because they all kind of have their own. I mean, we've got assets everywhere, doing everything that we have no idea what's going on.
I've always go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I've always wondered. Let's see what y'all think. I've always wondered that the things that actually secretly happen in these associations are shown in movies.
Yes.
It's like, oh, here's this grandiose that, this is just only what a movie would show or what fiction could, pop up. But it's like, no, this is the crazy stuff that we do.
Have you heard of Operation Mockingbird?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so Operation Mockingbird is the CIA's Cold War. Basically, it was a project to infiltrate and manipulate media around the Cold War. And so you would drive public opinion and public discourse the way you want it to be driven. And they were doing that, have been doing that, are still doing that. And they funnel it through organizations like USAID. And here's a prime example of it. This is just recently, this is the other day, February 4th. Amazon Prime cancels Rings of Power Season 3 after the USA funding grant dried up.
Yep.
So it's the CIA via USAID pumping monies into media outlets and into entertainment industry. This
goes so deep.
Oh, it's
and
so
it's like
deep.
I wouldn't have the patience to sit down and look at all of where the web reaches. I would just and I guess that's where some people get it. They're like, okay, you know what? We just don't feel like dealing with this. So we're just going to let this ride.
Well, I think that a lot of the folks in the federal government, it's that they knew, they just don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't, they're like, whatever. And like we said in the thumbnail, Politico, which is a news outlet, it's a left-wing media outlet. In fact, they were the ones, and Jack Posobiec posted it, and it was a great point. Politico was the one who, what was it that they doxed? They doxed the, it's killing me now. I can't remember what it was. Let me pull up mine. Oh, they leaked something. It was something that they had leaked. Anyway, these folks are, absolutely being bought and paid for, not just by USAID, but it also came out that Politico in total contributions had got from the federal government had gotten $34.3 million.
How can you be possibly a voice that is do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unburdened by what
by what has been. Yeah. How can you be a voice that's unburdened by what has been? When your pockets are lined that deeply.
How can you say we are completely unbiased?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't. No. There's no way. There's no way. And I mean, I know I sent out that thing to y'all the other day, just a snapshot of where we were with DOGE and funding and how much. I mean, they've cut over $1 billion in just. which is nothing when you're
Let me pull that up.
But they're 2 weeks in. They're just getting started. You know,
the fact that since COVID that there have been all of these DC office buildings vacant, just empty. I'm like,
empty.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah. So this was 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
So as of 2 days ago, the grand total is 1.2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just like, wait, what?
When people were doing the math on expenditures for the IRS, right now the IRS 92%, I believe is the number, are working remotely. And yet they had $200,000 a month they were spending on cinnamon cake cups. You know what I mean?
Dude.
And some people said that wasn't necessarily, like it wasn't unverified, but, I don't know.
All those IRS agents just sitting home having cinnamon coffee, cleaning their firearm.
Well, or like there was when they went through, the military was paying for a bag of like bolts. How much was it? 800? Was it in the thousands or was it
thousands?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
for
so
a bag of bolts?
So there is that where it's like, all right, you know what? You guys need to start shopping at Ace Hardware because
Where y'all shop? Are y'all hand making these?
right. Because
Bespoke bolts.
right. Because clearly, you've got the defense contracts that are just stupid.
Yeah.
And
Guys, I think we've been a little too harsh on the government spending.
I have a joke for you.
Okay.
The government is excellent and uses your tax dollars efficiently.
yes, there it is. There it is. Yep. That's great. Yeah. You play that again and again.
I will all night.
Good Lord.
Make that your car horn.
I know. I thought about
unbelievable.
making that my ringtone for my phone. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's all
you were
good.
talking
But,
about expensive bolts, and I was like, "Oh, that's a perfect time for that."
but I mean, I love like they've just started slashing. Department of Health and Human Services, the $110 million from the Department of Agriculture, and here's the deal. Our agriculture, our farmers, and what's happening here is it's all owned by China and Bill Gates at this point, right? They're just buying it all up.
Exactly.
But I know people that farm. I grew up in a farm community.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the hardest job in the world to begin with is farming. And then you put all these regulations and stupidity on it, and you just it's like, why are they doing it?
And then don't they have like stuff now, like the stuff that you actually get from a farm, got crops and stuff, have been sprayed with these sprays that are terrible for you. So they can slap an organic sticker on there. Yeah, sure, okay. But no, that's been like it has tons of stuff in it.
I don't know. Is anybody on here? I believe this with my whole heart that there isn't such a thing anymore as organic.
Right.
Because we've been doing this so long, I don't think that you're going to get soil that's untainted. I don't think that you're going to get seed that has been untainted anymore.
Exactly right.
And therefore, you can't call it organic when it isn't back to the root of how it's supposed to be.
You got it.
When Russia's got a seed vault of original seed, why do you have that? Why is it so important to have like a corn kernel?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe because we have they'll call it progress.
Right.
But we know the original is the best. It's still the best.
Well, and there's Bill Gates has now invested in I think it's called Appeal.
Yes. Yes. You got to check those labels on the apples.
Yeah, you do, because it is a wax coating that is very toxic, and they put it over produce to make it last longer. So if it has that, and there's a couple other names for it.
Can they develop that for the human? I mean, just
Make it last.
yeah, like just to
150. We're shooting for.
yeah, I mean, something to look good. Every woman in America would be buying it. Every guy would be like, "Yeah, I'll throw a little of that here on the crow's feet."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, hey.
But no, they're gonna waste that on apples.
Yeah, it's I've seen some videos of people trying to like wash it, and just the feel of it's different, and trying to wash it off.
Have you seen the videos of the bananas
that
are like?
No, I haven't seen those.
They're like
The fake. They're
like
fake,
rubbery. Yeah, they're like fake. Yeah.
God, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I mean, fruit. So first of all, fruit shouldn't last more than a week.
No.
So if you got fruit that's lasting more than a week,
If your banana's still yellow and it's been there for 3 weeks,
probably time to
let's not eat that.
don't eat that banana. Yep. So
Wow.
anyway, okay. So we've got over $1 billion cut in a week.
Well, and more than that. So they've gone through, and I don't know what impact this is going to have necessarily. I thought I had all these opened up. I'd opened them up in the wrong folder, I guess. But so it's been more than that. Things like Marco Rubio, after all this USAID stuff was opened up, he said, all right, he and Trump said, we're pulling all overseas people back by Friday. And not over the long haul, not over the anything. And of course,
By Friday.
So you have to leave that country, be out of there by Friday. And we'll play the videos of all the folks on the opposing side of the aisle who think that USAID and the federal government and all of its agencies hung the moon, which we are not in that. We're not there. But this is so all overseas missions for the U.S. Agency for International Development have been ordered to shut down, and nearly all staff at the agency will be placed on leave Friday night. This comes after Secretary of State Marco Rubio was made acting administrator of the agency. So they always called it a Department of State entity, but it had its own thing, like we were talking about, and acts of its own volition and with very little supervision. They said, nope, we're not doing it that way. Now Marco Rubio's the head. The head can, go pound sand. And I don't know how much this is going to save, but the number that they are getting up to right now, I think, is around $1 billion a day that they're saving. And DOGE is, and they have a goal of $4 billion a day.
Good grief, man.
$4 billion a day. And Elon Musk said that. But so things like this is a massive cost savings. We're not paying for the overhead to have people there. They ain't handing out money, So this is going to save us, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right. So
Elon on Twitter, I'm gonna just call it Twitter. I hate the word X. I hate that. So he put out when the video of Schumer and all them when he said this means that we're doing things that are helpful.
Yeah.
Because why would you get mad about cutting saving money?
Exactly.
I don't get that's unless you were profiting somehow.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you kind of nailed it, right?
So,
and I mean, let's get back to so Soros wins the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yes,
right?
He does.
Of course he does, because he's got his hands in USAID everywhere.
Yeah.
He's such a good guy, charitable, loving, that his tentacles are reaching out to places that no man wants to go. And they're setting up tents, and they're taking pictures with terrorists, and they're trying to manipulate people in Mongolia into watching transgender films.
Yeah.
They're trying to promote a narrative of things that the globe needs to embrace because it's really important.
Acceptance.
There are lots of genders, Ben.
Oh yeah, there's
lots.
At least 50 of them out there.
And you need to understand that.
The tribes in Africa need to understand.
They need
everybody.
to get it. They need to get a hold of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they are so incredibly narrow-minded there.
Could change the whole village.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Pam Bondi read a bunch of them.
Nothing says, I'm sorry, but nothing says acceptance like a furry who's starving, covered in flies.
That's right. Yes.
In Africa, right? I mean, and for roughly the cost of a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You could feed him.
You could feed him.
Pam Bondi, go for it. She's good.
Well, this isn't Pam Bondi.
No, it's not. Well, clearly.
Yeah, this is Abby Phillip. This is definitely a ding on the IQ points.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But no, Pam Bondi was reading them off. Everybody's been doing it, right? They've been pulling 3 or 4 every speech from everybody on the right. Oh gosh, our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
He was doing it. Pam Bondi's been doing it. Everybody says, and here's your $80,000 going here or $500,000 going there. It's great.
Yes.
But the response is what this is. And, y'all were talking about this outrage that people are going to starve and this, that, and the other. Even CNN, Abby Phillip and CNN, they were this kind of like buried face, hand in face. Where have we gone as a party? And so, check this out.
That Musk is a problem, but listen to them today. And they have a piñata in search of a stick.
to our Republican colleagues. If you do not see the light,
There might be some language
we
in here. I
will
wanna-
bring the fire. Resist!
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on
Here
your
comes the
ass.
language.
We
Yep,
have
there you go.
days to stop the destruction of our democracy. We have work to do. Tell Elon Musk to take his hands off your money. We don't pledge allegiance to the creepy 22-year-olds working for Elon Musk. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
And goddamn it, shut down the city! We are at war!
We will win.
God, this right here, dude.
So cringy.
We won't rest. We won't rest.
Don't know what. Okay.
Watch this reaction.
No, I love.
Yeah, so they need the Democrats need a real leader. Okay, they need a real leader, which currently does not exist in the Democratic Party, and they have been caught completely flat-footed with the entire Trump presidency for the last 2 weeks, and Elon Musk. I said on CNN months ago that Elon Musk would be the most influential advisor to President Trump, and that is proving to be true, whether you like it or not. But Democrats should have had a plan for this. They knew it was coming. We say this every single night.
2025.
We knew
as
it.
Just talked about.
We knew it.
God.
Trump
It's
said
so
all of
ridiculous.
these things were going to happen. We saw him align with Elon Musk, which may go down as the smartest thing that any presidential candidate has ever done, from the young vote to tech, to a million other things. So Democrats needed to have a plan, and it may be too late.
Yeah, Bakari, are you fired up after?
I'm fired up and ready to go. Can't you see it in my face?
Yeah, there
Scott
it is.
Jennings is fabulous.
I do love that.
So good.
I do love the, it's Project 2025. No, actually, it's not.
I wish it was.
Right, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously they've never really looked into it. They
No.
just are parroting whatever,
Yes, it's a talking point. Yeah.
But it's not even close to Project 2025. It's better in some regards.
Yeah, in some regards.
It's like, wow, they took like getting back to the Constitution and the roots and everything else. And then they're like, oh, that's a great idea. Hold my beer for a minute.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to get back. It's like, we're going to get back to that, but just hold on. Let us go ahead and just burn it all down.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back to this.
There are things that he talked about on the campaign trail. There are things that have happened that when he was talking on that we couldn't, I guess, have imagined happen already. I mean, he's done just everything he's done so far is we did not realize what was going to happen.
Okay, now here's the $1 million question, though. Where do you think this is all coming from?
What the things he's actually doing, or
yeah, I think so. There has been a litany of things, and I know we're all believers, and there's so many things that have been said about his encounter with God, and he's mentioned his encounter with God multiple times.
Yep.
I think I've actually heard the name Jesus spoken more times from politicians over the course of the past 2 to 3 weeks than I've heard in decades.
Yep.
And my question is, do you believe that this is all? Because there are people out there, Christians out there, well, it sends, the light's shining and people are running for the hills because the light's shining and exposing their sin, and the deep state's being exposed, and Trump's coming in. Trump is not your savior, America.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
He is not. He is full of mistakes. He's going to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
But I want us to be careful because there's so many people that believe that everything he's doing is inspired by God.
But it could be. I'm not saying inspired by God, but he could be inspired by. I'm not saying that he's like some messianic figure. That's obviously ridiculous. But,
of course,
I have heard a lot of politicians talk about how he was changed and how he has spoken to them in private about being changed by the assassination attempt by both of them. But the first one where he actually got shot in the ear, that had a profound impact on him, and that message that he has repeated several times. He felt like God spared him to do something great for America, to help America. And I believe that. I really do, because the things he's doing right now, like you say, they're shining a light on the corruption. They're shining
Absolutely.
a light on these nefarious entities that have been keeping the American people down, that have been taking our money and wasting it, that have been, I mean, in my opinion, stealing, because I believe that taxation is theft. But this is a.
Did you just say that out loud?
I say it out loud, and I will say it until the day I die.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying DOGE isn't a constitutional organization, and this, that, and the other. Well, neither is
the IRS is not either.
The IRS isn't either. Yeah. So that's why this is my wife and I were having a conversation about this. You know, he's saying, let's not try to tax our own citizens into prosperity. Let's tax other countries via tariffs. And as opposed to taking the American people's tax money to enrich the government, let's take other countries' money that want to do business with us and enrich our own people, which is very viable. Now, long term, I think he has to get rid of the income tax, because a 25% tariff on eggs or whatever, your iPhone, is not a big deal when you're paying 35% in income tax.
That's right.
So it offsets itself to the benefit of the American people. Do it in tariffs, stop taking our money, or at least take a whole lot less. We'll pay 5% like we did back in the Civil War.
I saw that whole bit with Schumer talking about how they're going to tax on beer, on, you know.
Oh, gosh.
Avocados, which makes for guacamole.
Avocados for guacamole and beer.
And I love
Super
Jon
Bowl's
Stewart.
coming, right? You're just kind of like...
Jon Stewart said, please, is this all you have?
Right.
Please pick somebody that doesn't tell me that avocados are used in guacamole.
Right. Please pick somebody who actually barbecues correctly. Yes. Oh, remember that picture of him? Yeah.
Yes.
Happy 4th.
Yes.
He's got the...
Every man who's ever worked a grill. The only person that fooled were the beta males.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And that's who they're surrounded with in that party.
White dudes for Harris. That's it.
I mean, because it is a beta male. It's a beta male party. If ever there was one, it's a beta male party.
When he's grilling.
Yeah. Look at him go. Flip that burger.
That's my senator.
It's ridiculous. But I think.
Oh, and for y'all that don't know what we're talking about, we're talking about the raw burger. He was a photo op, and he had cheese on top of a raw burger on a grill, obviously.
Yeah. So, but I do want to talk about it, because I think as people follow, you know, the people that follow us, a lot of them are Christians or are trying to navigate all this stuff and where Jesus fits in, right? And I do. There are people that have said, there's people in Christianity who believe that, you know, Musk is the Antichrist, that Trump is the Antichrist, that, you know, I kind of feel like we grasp at straws so incredibly. It's the flavor of the week, you know, like this is clearly this is the Antichrist. And here he comes now. Look, he's got his own theme music. This guy, he's got to be the Antichrist.
Yes.
And so we just don't know. We just hope it sticks.
Yeah.
And you've got these people in ministry that are, you know, convinced that Trump is fulfilling prophecy by doing different things. And, you know, there are definitely some things that you sit back and go, man, I mean, that does echo with prophecy. There's I think I sent you guys the Jewish rabbi who was talking about. And that was a heavy listen. I don't know if you listened to it, but I mean, he was talking about like, well, you know, he was pierced in the right ear. He was, you know, and then there's those that'll sit back and go, okay, wait a minute. How about the other half where one of the beasts has his head, you know, wounded and it's healed? Well, that's Trump. He was shot in the head. And, you know, it's like, okay, wait, so he's either the beast or the Messiah. Like, what do you know, maybe he's neither.
Right.
Maybe he's just the president. Maybe he's just a guy who's like, you know what? They went after me for 8 years. I'm the most investigated person in the history of the United States of America. And the American people have given me a mandate to clean up this mess.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it. So maybe we don't overread it as much as so many people are on the right or the left, and just say, all right, the house cleaning needed to happen.
Maybe he was born and kept alive for such a time as this.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, if you think about it, it's the restoration of a country that has been blessed because we did early on adhere to Judeo-Christian principles. We were different. We had recognized free will. Freedom was at it was a cornerstone of our entire system, and we slowly lost that.
Yeah,
and there can be a restoration of that because we've talked about it before. The movement of faith, the growth of faith in America, and
so let's talk about it because this is really you're nailing it on. You are nailing it. Love that about you.
Good job, Jared.
There you go.
We did a podcast while Biden was president about Bible sales.
Yeah.
So I think that there's this, getting back to the Judeo-Christian values. What does the word say? If my people who are called by my name, and I don't know about you, but when it looked like we were going to have 4 more years of, which way do I go? Which way do I go here? Come here, let me kiss you. If we had 4 more years of that, we'd be done.
Oh, surely, yeah.
We'd be done. I can't afford to pay $26 a gallon, right? I can't afford to buy eggs for $73. So that's where we would be if we just kept on with it. And Kamala would be laughing the whole time because there's joy,
Oh, yeah.
We can't. And so what do? I start to pray for the election, and I start to pray for our nation. Which I always prayed for our nation. Because we serve a God who is a God who's consumed with people groups and nations. Yes, he loves you as the individual. He sent his son to die for you. If you were the only person who ever lived, Ben, Jesus would have died for you.
Yeah.
But we serve a God who repeatedly throughout Scripture addresses the nations. Old Testament, New Testament. He's about people groups. And I do believe that in America in particular, the body of Christ rose up, and without the major, we're all going to have a national day of prayer, okay, all right, you guys go ahead and do it. We'll see you at the poll, There was no organization. There was desperation.
Oh, yeah.
There was desperation in the hearts of men and women who serve God, who seek God, because we can't maintain this. We see our kids being taught that they can, we see our kids being taught that they can sleep with people at the age of 6.
Oh, yeah.
And that those people could be a boy, girl, or this has gone too far. And so what do? Instead of, we went to our knees.
Yep.
We began to pray. And maybe this is an answer to that prayer. Rather than being the Antichrist or the Savior, this is just an answer to that prayer where God says, we're going to have a course correction. Because my people did what I've asked them to do. They sought my face. They humbled themselves. And listen, we can all pray more. We can all be more humble. There's nobody here that's got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think I think you're right. I think that the country coming together around that is it can only happen for a country that had fallen as far as we had, or at least it seemed like we had. And maybe that was part of the messaging they were pushing to make us feel like we had really fallen and it was desperation. The only person that could save us was government. But instead, we've come back and said, no, we're going to go to God in prayer, and he can still save our country, save the people of this country.
But organically.
In the right, and it happened organically. And I think that, like what we were playing before, when we are now starting to see the corruption and start to see all the bad things, kind of the rot in the system that we thought was constitutional, but turns out was wholeheartedly unconstitutional because of the way they've handled our money and foreign relations and all this stuff. And this, I lost my train of thought. I glanced down into the next clip, and then I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was on such a roll.
You were.
I had something I was absolutely going to say.
But it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Okay. Like there's so much that.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is that now when we see the response to the people who, we're whooping and hollering because the corruption is being revealed, and we can now identify the people who are whooping and hollering to keep the corruption in place.
I
think that should speak volumes to the
American needs
people.
To be addressed.
Yeah.
That needs to be addressed.
Yep.
And not only are they whooping and hollering to keep the corruption in place, but they're actually asking for the very thing that they have been railing against for the past, it's just it's the irony.
Yep.
It's like a clown show.
Yep.
You can't make this stuff up.
Yep.
John Grisham couldn't write this.
No. I mean, it's like the next thing they're going to lead an insurrection inside the Capitol, and they're going to call it freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Or,
well, because they can't do wrong.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and they'll end up, doing harm. Which, side note, I don't think the people that. I'm not going down the January 6th thing. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that right now. But that's what's going to happen. I mean, if it was Caroline Leavitt, who, let me speak on her just real quick, who is a phenomenal. I mean, she's a gem. I mean, just no notebook.
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah.
And here I thought Kayleigh McEnany was like
fiery and sharp. Yeah, she was great. And then this shows up, and you're like,
what in the world is this? Oh
She's
my
a phenom.
Yeah. She's 27.
And you know what's crazy is I think that we'd be really good friends. Like, I just feel that way about her.
Yeah.
Like, I like you. I think we could, I wouldn't date her. She's way too young.
She doesn't take crap at
No.
all.
No.
She's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
She's brilliant.
Yep.
She handles the stress. That's the
Boy,
thing.
doesn't she?
In that type of
She
environment.
seems to thrive off of it.
I think she does.
So wild.
I think she does.
That's so rare.
But let me ask, because we just saw the clip. We will not stop. It's like, okay, first of all, you've got Maxine Waters up there who it's like, all right, what are you going to, I'm going to move your walker and then we're done. Like you don't stand a chance. Like, but who are they going to be led by? And number one, number two, an insurrection. What are they going to do? They're going to send the furries first, and pave the way. Like, the Jan 6th thing that happened was not okay,
right?
And there needed to be some accountability for all those people that did it. And this is my opinion. I know, and I get it. It's like we were caught up in a moment, and I do believe personally in this. I do believe that there were plants that instigated that.
Yeah, that's
that's
the thing.
Yeah, I believe that this was all orchestrated to paint the conservative movement as bad.
Yep.
You have FBI assets on the ground who are kicking windows in, and they work for the FBI. There's something going on here, but I wouldn't go.
Right.
I would say, you know what? I'm not going in there. That's actually not okay. There's got to be a place where the line is drawn individually. And so destruction of property should be it. Right. I mean, so shame. It's a shame that it happened the way that it did. I feel bad for all the people. There needs to be, they need to go and paint the White House white again or whatever it is, whatever the punishment.
But the punishment's already been done. I feel
it has.
Everything that they did for 2 years and 3 years in prison
is enough. We're good.
More than enough.
Way more than enough. I'm talking like the punishment meets the crime. When I damage something, I'm going to go ahead and fix it. Like that's what should have happened. Instead, they're spending 3 years in solitary confinement for crossing the threshold when the police officers are holding the door for them and saying, come on in.
Right.
Come on.
And they're asking, will we get arrested for this? No.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a free tour, basically.
I mean, what are you supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So, but what we're seeing, if there is action, I mean, what are they hoping for out of this rhetoric? What are they hoping for?
It's already starting to move towards violence, and this is directed at Elon Musk. It's directed at Donald Trump. It's directed at other people on the right. This guy works for the Boston University employee. He posted this, and there's other posts out there saying that Elon and these are the folks, these are the young kids that are working in a lot of cases for free. I think in every instance for free, sleeping in the X headquarters or wherever it is they're sleeping on cots, going through all the algorithms and all this stuff to try to cipher through the information to get it out to the American people for DOGE. And they're calling for them. They doxed them, and they're calling for them to be taken out. I won't say the actual word, but
you can read it. So
yeah.
So this guy, Jared May, 76, bsky.social, right?
Yep.
They know who he is.
They know who he is.
Does he still have his job?
Apparently. Yep. Boston University. This is Charlie Kirk posted it, and it said Boston University. He said should lose all federal grants and funding if May isn't fired immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100% accurate. Yes. But there, this is where it goes. I've got the one. I think the video clip that I sent you guys and it was one of the individuals in particular. Where was it? I'm going to have to pull up my text thread. I must not have grabbed that one.
It's hilarious that they use the word treason in that, because, good gosh, most of your leaders on the left could be incited for that.
It's beyond ridiculous. It's, they don't know what treason is because they commit it all the time.
Here we go. Somebody.
Yeah, this is Ed,
Ed
Markey. Here you go.
Oh.
This is the time when we have to stand up and to fight, to not stand on the sidelines, to have people by the millions are going to have to stand up and protest. When we come back here the next time, there should be hundreds of thousands and millions of people descending on Washington, D.C.
Oh, he left out peacefully.
There you go. Yep. Yeah.
You got to fight. You got to.
Yep.
Yeah.
The same stuff that Trump would, he didn't even say fight. He just said we've got to stand up for, make our voices heard peacefully, protest, and all of a sudden he's calling for violence. But this is the Maxine Waters sort of thing again, right?
Yeah.
She was saying,
and Maxine's been doing it. She did it when Trump first got elected. I mean, there's that video of people gathering around her and her like, okay. Here's the thing that's just so evident to me. The Democrats have nobody. There is nobody in that party that is the leader. They just elected the new DNC like chair or whatever.
Did you watch any of that?
That was a flipping joke. And if that's all they have, then Republicans should win until kingdom come. I mean, it's like how they have nothing.
The sharpest tack in the Democratic toolbox right now, you couldn't hang a poster up with.
No.
I mean, it's just like there is nobody, they would say like Gavin Newsom, he's sharp. No, Gavin Newsom is actually falling on his own sword right now.
Yeah.
The stuff that's coming out of his mouth and the things that people have caught him with, he's Justin Trudeau 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And you watch, it's only a matter of time before the Californians, just like the Canadians, are approaching him and being like, you need to get out of office.
Absolutely.
And that's why Trudeau has resigned. He's like, okay, I'm done after this, because he's had so many people on the street. He can't be alone. He can't. I mean, it's like they want me gone.
Yep.
And Newsom's the same. He's done.
And look at how it's going around the world. In Europe, or not in Europe, well, okay. In Great Britain, you've got Nigel Farage, who is the head of the now, it's like a right-leaning party.
Yeah.
And like the new prime minister over there, I think that's the name of their person because I get confused. The name, the prime minister over there has a 20-something% approval rating. And it's like, there are other places around the world now since 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, where
they're like, okay, we're going this way.
Where the right is rising.
Yeah.
It's rising.
Yeah.
And where common sense, conservative values, one man, one woman.
Yep.
It's on the move where it's like we've had enough of this. We've just had enough of this.
Yeah.
We can't do it anymore. And it is really amazing to see the global wave that this is creating.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's a phenomenon.
Yep.
I don't know that we'll ever see anything like this again. I hope we never see anything like this again because it means it's gotten so bad that we have to see something like this again.
Correct.
But I hope we get back to the rule of law, to the definition of humanity and what it is. And I think this is the other thing that I think and it's such a hard message. It's so hard to even speak, but because it's not hard to speak, but I know it's going to offend people.
Mm-hmm.
Gospel's offensive. What we saw for 4 years was satanic.
Mm-hmm.
What we saw for 4 years was anti-God.
Yep.
Was of the devil, where your 6-year-old is really a girl. You don't touch my 6-year-olds, or I'm gonna burn I'll burn it down. And the American people want to do that, but they're not allowed to do it. You're not even allowed to say anything against it because then all of a sudden,
then you're the bad person.
You're the bad person.
Oh yeah. Then you're the threat.
And there isn't a parent. I mean, there are some parents, we've seen videos of them, both my children are blah, blah, blah. It's like,
They've known since they were 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Both my kids. That's like being struck by lightning 11 times. You know, like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's mom influencing them,
Yes.
you know? So you need to sit down and stop having kids because you are screwing them up before they even, you know, they even have the ability to eat their own cereal. Like
Yes.
you've messed up. But I just feel like it's amazing that we've come swinging back this hard. And then to have not only the popular vote in America swing back this hard to what we believed were going to be values. I mean, we were sold a bill of goods, right? Like he's going to get us back to, you know, to some, you know, gas is going to be cheaper and he's going to drill, baby, drill. And there's going to be some good things. Never in my life. Like this, pun intended, trumps it all.
Oh, it does.
Where he's literally the executioner of departments and department heads and they're resigning across the board.
Yep.
They're, you know, if you're in the CIA in 2 years, if you're a newbie in the CIA, 2-year probation, you're done.
Yep.
They're not going to bother to keep you because they're looking to fire everybody.
Prime example, President of Mexico says, we're not like whatever shit. Golly, there's been so much stuff. I forgot what she said. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. And then 2 days later, she's like, okay, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and
we're going to go ahead.
We're going
to do what he wants us to do.
10,000 troops to the southern border.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these people on Facebook and stuff whining, my liberal friends whining. They're whining about, the tariffs are going to kill us, blah, blah, blah. No, like 80% of Canada's income comes from us.
Yep.
70% of Mexico's income comes from us. Like, I don't even think it's above 10% comes from, you know, Canada or Mexico. It's not going to hurt us a bit.
We've single-handedly kept NATO alive because we pay way more.
Right.
Way more than anybody else.
I mean, if you really put it all into perspective, even though we've had a weakling in the office for 4 years, we are still the big fish in a small pond. And we're going to do what we're going to do. And Trump knows that. And he's played the game so incredibly well that he's got the whole world thinking about tariffs when really all he's thinking about is put troops at the border.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What that is next level negotiation where you're like, I want troops at the border. Let me see. We're going to tariff you.
Well, it goes back to the art of the deal.
It's exactly right. He knew what he was doing when he went in.
Absolutely.
He's like, we're going to slap these tariffs on. I'll have a conversation with you at 3:00.
Yep.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, 10,000 soldiers going to the border. We're going to stop fentanyl, stop the crossings. Like, wow.
And all the reporters asking him what can they do to make you stop this? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, when he said, do you think, when they said the first day, do you think the Fed will listen to you? Yeah. I mean, he was just like, they will. I'm just like, this dude.
How about the reporter asking him if he was going to go see the plane crash?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And he's like,
what do you want me to go on? I mean,
what do you want me
you
it's
can
in
go
the in
swimming?
the water?
Like-
He's like, it's in the water? Like, no. There's nothing to see. It's in the water. You know, like just those kind of things where you're like, yeah, that was a dumb question.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's been a heck of a 2 weeks, man.
It really has.
But I don't think there will ever be anything like this again. From all that he's been through, that he's been prosecuted for, that to almost getting killed, to there, and then like they with all this the rhetoric of he led an insurrection for all this, and then I mean they said it on Fox one day. There won't be ever anything like this ever again. And for him to rise from the ashes and be the president again, no, there's no way this will happen again.
No.
Well, and my only hope is that he can do enough damage to the rotten parts of the system that we don't need it. At least not for a while.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That
right.
Yeah, he cuts away he's like a really, really skilled surgeon who or a demolition guy.
I was just going to say, I don't think we need a surgeon. The next guy needs to be the surgeon.
Right.
He just needs to come in and, you know, he's just going to throw it out. Like,
and I do like how he's spacing everything out. If he'd have done all this, which honestly I expected him to do, I never thought about spacing this out for weeks and weeks on like executive orders and all this other stuff. I guess I thought everything was going to happen on day one, and to do it, to just get under their skin where they don't know what the next day is going to bring. It's just
I will tell you,
amazing.
If it was me running the show, tomorrow I would have Epstein's list come out.
Oh my gosh,
because
man.
they are so focused on this over here.
Yes.
And I would bring out the list because half of them are on it. And let them fight for their lives until they eat each other.
One week bring that out, the next week bring the JFK stuff.
Go back and start firing everybody again, and then bring out JFK, and then go back and start firing everybody again, and then bring out Martin Luther King. Like, do it when they don't expect it, when they're not ready for it.
Yep.
Because we all know the Democratic Party was actually the problem.
Yeah.
The party of the Ku Klux Klan was the problem. Like,
and that's something a lot of people don't pay attention to these days. That the things the Democrat Party says now are the same things that the Democrat Party said back in the 1850s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about illegal immigration. Donald Trump is trying to cut it down at the border, and what's their thing? Well, who's going to pick your citrus fruit? Who's going to pick your strawberries? Who's going to pick your blueberries?
And you want to be like,
clean your house.
Why don't you give them a little more credit than that?
Yeah, it's like,
because if the right said that, dear heavens,
racist. They're better than that.
Yeah. Yes. It's like, okay, you're making the same argument. I don't think you realized back before the Civil War that you wanted to keep your
they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah,
is what they're doing. Yeah, and I've actually always thought about that. Like,
well, and their policies are racially divisive when you talk about DEI and critical race theory too. Yes. So
even though it's so funny because it's calling evil good and good evil. Right. It's what it is. It's wow. What do you know? The evil party, the evil government, not the evil party, because there's evil on both sides of the aisle here.
Sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the evil government is calling good evil and evil good.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But for him to move at this speed and to do what he's done and accomplish what he's accomplished,
it's remarkable.
It will go down. This will go down in history as one of the most aggressive presidencies.
Oh gosh, yes.
In 2 weeks, if he stopped here.
Yeah. Already.
Yes. 2 weeks in, and if he did nothing else, this is the most aggressive presidency that America has ever seen.
Yep.
And you know what's funny? They're going to write up that Biden was one of the best presidents in the history, right?
Yep.
Remember when that article came out and Trump was like the worst?
Yes.
And Barack was up there, and it's like no. If you got to, I mean, this is unbelievable what he's done.
And was he 78?
I don't know.
Almost. Almost.
Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah, it's great.
This was good.
This is a fantastic.
Yes.
And this is the moment.
You can hang this in the loo right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this?
I don't know. That lady in the red hat back there is a little sketch.
Cruella de Vil. I want one of them markers,
What a
dude.
nice picture
I want one of
this
them
is,
pins.
huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that.
His signature looks
I wanna make
nothing
this a
like his
really
name.
good
Yeah,
signature.
I know.
I'm like, how do you do that?
This is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
And that has saved women's sports.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty good, huh? Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Great going, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you, kids. Here. Take a pen.
that's what buddy. That's what I want right there.
Yeah, give me one of those presidential
buddy.
pins.
Right now, that little girl in the bow is on eBay.
$5,000.
Yeah, she's like
$5,000.
I mean, okay, so here it is. This is a big moment, and this happened today.
Yeah.
That he signed into law that women get to keep their own sports.
Yep.
And men, biological men, we are no longer going to see women's skulls being crushed.
Yep.
In boxing rings, we're no longer going to see 6'3" women win swimming events because they, nope. This whole nonsense that we've listened to and watched over the past 5, 6, 4 years, but it was happening before. It's been happening.
Oh yeah.
It's over.
Yep.
It's over.
Yep.
It's all over with the stroke of a pen, surrounded by little girls who want to keep their stuff sacred.
He's just different, and I don't I don't mean to. I always have to be careful when talking because, I don't want to ever use obviously terminology that makes it look like I'm talking about Jesus. Obviously, I'm. No, I don't want to use this grandiose
Although I think Jesus would probably wear that tie.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I get what you're saying.
But it's he is just
so
built. He's different.
I do believe this. He's being used by God.
Yeah.
Because the people of God put him there.
Not hardly any 80-year-old could do this.
No.
Yeah. He's the right person at the right time.
Yes.
That's
really
right.
what
For
it
such
is.
a time as this.
For such a time as this. And we had him once before. It was rocky. It was difficult. There was ups and downs. And now he's just getting off on the right foot. And
have you noticed?
They should have let him win 2020.
Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Have you noticed? Here's what they should have, because it wouldn't have been like this.
Nope.
Have you noticed though what's been really quiet, right? That you don't see a lot of messaging from him. I think
much. No.
I think this is the difference. You see his kids doing it.
Well, he learned a lot from the first one.
Yeah, but it's guess what? I think part of it is he just doesn't have time. He's like, I'm done with that. I don't have time for this.
Yeah,
we're moving on.
Yeah.
Bring me ideas. I wonder what it's like. And I've reached out. There's a young lady that I know that has been, there's pictures of her with him in the office and everything else.
Oh, that's awesome.
I kind of reached out to her. I want to get you on the show.
That's awesome.
Because I want to talk to her about what he's like.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
So Laura, I know you tuned in, call in, whatever. We'll line it up so that we can get your voice on here for a minute, because I would love to hear what you have to say about it as somebody that I trust. So, but I do believe that God is using him, especially in this instance in particular, where you sit back and go, yeah, a woman's a woman. Protect her. They're to be protected. So go ahead, Jared. What do you got here? This is important.
Yeah. So this is, we've been talking about Trump so much. I guess I could pull up this next, a different one than that. This was more about the money laundering, basically.
I was going to say, man, anytime you see Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea, that piques.
Well, yeah,
come on. This is good. This is
the
good.
Clintons. Okay. So this is, oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
That you can look at taxpayer funds, which is down in the red, and how those taxpayer funds have flowed through things like the Tides Foundation, the Community Foundation of Middle, all this largely through the Tides Foundation. The bill, Hillary and Chelsea Clinton brought in total amount was $83,624,000, and basically the taxpayer funds, which are these are all their organizations, Tides Foundation, all that stuff, $35 million. It basically the quantity comes out to about $84 million that they got essentially laundered through other organizations.
Yeah.
Through the Tides Foundation to them. That's all from the federal government, the Clintons. So Chelsea Clinton pulling in $84 million laundered to her, who I think she's the one who's running the Clinton Foundation right now.
And that's through the federal government supporting these organizations.
Yeah, so basically if you look at it, there's the money coming into Hillary and Chelsea Clinton. You see the 83
$83 million.
0.6 million. It says gross receipts, but down below it says taxpayer funds is only $17,500. Untrue, because you can see the taxpayer funds going into each of these organizations,
right? And
then it essentially gets washed through the Global Impact, the Windward Fund, all this stuff, the Tides Foundation, and it flows into their organization. And I don't know if you remember or not, but the Clintons were when she was Secretary of State, it was a 9-figure organization. But she was no longer the Secretary of State. It went down to tens of millions.
Yeah.
And she went from hundreds of millions to tens of millions just by changing from Secretary of State to a nobody.
Wow.
Yeah. Money laundering.
Well, I don't know that he'll get to that, because that will be viewed in the lens of political prosecution, right? Like so they might steer clear of that. He might steer clear of the Biden family crime
It's interesting
syndicate.
how far is he going to or not going to get into that.
I don't know.
You want my honest opinion?
He needs to go after them all.
I mean, I would like him to.
He needs to go after the Republicans doing it too.
Oh,
so it needs to be. People will say that it's politically motivated. Not
Mitch
no.
McConnell.
There you go.
Golly, who had another fall yesterday.
You need to go after them all, and it will send a really clear message to those coming behind what's going on now that, you know what, I'm going to actually do this right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to play it straight, and I'm going to do what my people have asked me to, my constituents want me to do.
Yeah.
And
well, we're held to a certain standard. We law and order applies to the average everyday American. And we've got things like the IRS. They're going to come and audit us. So we want the federal government to be audited just like the IRS can come and audit
Although
us.
I don't know if the IRS is going to audit anybody this year. At this point, I think they're kind of like, do I have a job? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I don't. You don't want to say, hey, this person needs to be audited, because then your boss is like, oh, you haven't been showing up on time.
I mean, it is
like put you on the chopping.
And I do believe it's right. I don't think the IRS should exist. I don't think taxation is voluntary. There's a whole list of things where you sit back and go, when did I sign up for this?
Yeah.
When did I, as the people, as the voter, who I'm paying for you?
Oh, yeah.
Like I pay your salary.
Yep.
Get out of my house.
Technically, if you go back in the very, very old days, people used to could walk, and I get like the threats of stuff now, but the Capitol building and the White House, you used to be able to just walk right in there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
it's the people's
kind of
house.
ours.
It was the people's house.
So
yeah,
was it Andrew Jackson's or somebody's was notorious after their inauguration that they had like drunk people on the steps of the White House, like sleeping out there. It was a big party after the inauguration.
Yep.
Yeah, that you'd walk in and
yeah,
you could literally walk in and see the president.
Yeah.
And there would be people that slept there. That was another story. People would go to the White House, and the president's busy then, just like he is now. He's coming and going, and they would sleep in the hallway outside of his office, waiting for a moment so that they could have a meeting with him. That was in the 1800s, late 17, early 1800s. And then after, obviously, enough assassination attempts and all
we
that,
got to maybe we need to
comes along, and it's like, all right, we can't be doing this.
kind of like what's happening in Gaza.
A little bit.
Right? Yeah. Like we got to do something different here.
Yeah.
So we're just going to turn it in Disneyland. Like I said, Trump Casino, Gaza.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's our next T-shirt.
Did you see the Trump Tower thing in Gaza?
It
was a AI or something, but they erected like a Trump Tower in the middle of.
I saw a Buc-ee's. Somebody had
put a Buc-ee's in Gaza.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming soon, Buc-ee's, and they were like,
go.
"That's why he said he wanted us to take Gaza."
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. But there is above and beyond all of the great things that have been happening over the past couple weeks. Everybody was a little bit concerned, especially when Trump kind of went after the military, because he did. He's like, you know what, trans is done. You're done. This whole thing is done. Generals are being it's just unreal.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Booyah!
As of today, right?
And does anybody have any Shatters recruiting records? Do we have any figures on that?
So I did not pull figures, but I've got some. The Post Millennial reported that in December 2024 was the most active in 15 years, with 350 soldiers enlisting every single day that month.
Jeez.
At least 350, which is a lot. That's a
yeah.
lot. And the way that USAREC, which is U.S. Army Recruiting Command, that was my last job in active duty, actually, as a recruiting commander. Had the most. Yeah, it was.
Well, you do have the face of a recruiter.
I wanted a second command, and I loved my soldiers, but I did not like recruiting.
Yeah.
That is not my forte.
Well, they're not soldiers.
No. Yeah. Well, the young ones, the excuses that you get, it's so crazy, because I get in trouble when they go to the floor, is what they call it, go to the floor at MEPS, and then they are supposed to go to the floor that day and they don't because they say, well, and I was in East Tennessee. Well, my mama's boyfriend broke up with her, and I guess I'm going to stay around here. And they really just didn't want to go. And it's like, dude, your mom's 45 years old and her boyfriend broke up. You get over it. Get on with your life, man. Go join the Army and go do great things.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
But yeah, anyway. So in December 2024, the U.S. Army had its best recruiting numbers in 12 years. And in January 2025, the Army hit its best recruiting number in 15 years. So they broke a record in December. And then in January, they broke another record of the number of people enlisting. And it's they value people that are interested in doing that. They value strong leadership.
So
they really do.
Okay, so this is recruiting records
for the Army,
right? Which is totally different because there are people like me. When I read this headline, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I get it. People are happy and that we're on the upswing with the military and everything else, but there was more recruiting in, Vietnam than there was now. No, that's recruiting, not a draft.
Yeah.
Right.
This is all voluntary.
This is all voluntary.
Yep.
And it's gone up that much.
Yep. I can give you some numbers from 2023. This is a massive turnaround after the U.S. military missed its recruiting goals in 2023 by 41,000 under the Biden-Harris administration. The situation got so dire that in 2024, the Army announced it was cutting its force by 24,000 in a restructuring to, quote, help the service fight in future wars, is what they said. And so, according to, what a great name, Lieutenant Colonel Randy Reddy. That's a great name.
He's ready and Randy.
A service spokesman. The Army will expand how many new recruits it can send to basic training this spring, riding the momentum of recent gains towards reversing a recruiting slump it had struggled with during the Biden administration. And that's a big deal. Actually, the last reserve unit I was in was a drill sergeant unit. And it takes a lot of capacity to up the number of new recruits, new soldiers that they can actually push through. So it's, which is a good thing. I mean, that's... Yeah, powerful leadership, unwoke military.
I was just going to say, this is the military has been a litmus test for so many things.
Oh
yeah,
right. Yeah. They really have, and the military went woke and went broke.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I mean, like it. Nothing else says it. Like, this is not what people want.
No, they've treated it for a lot of years. Have treated the military like a social experiment.
Yeah,
and it's. Oh, this is a microcosm of society. No, because in the military, you could be from a rich family, a poor family. You could be from California, New York, Florida, or Iowa. It doesn't matter. You put on your green. That's it. It's the only color that matters is green.
And now you're from Fort Bragg.
Right. Yes. And when you start injecting the CRT and all the racial divisions, and that you start thinking that the white guy over here is somehow going to oppress this person over here because of their skin color, and it's that is creating divisions that never existed in the military I grew up in. That did not exist.
Nope.
And when you start adding it, you can feel the politics,
and it creates tension.
Yeah. Well, and it hurts when the politics being part of the culture. We've said it before that politics is downstream of culture, culture is downstream of worldview, and now the politics and culture have started to merge. Politics has become part of the culture, which is why we talk about it so much on here, because that's where people are, it's what they're interacting with, you know? And it's, while that's unfortunate, when it gets into something like the military, it is corrosive, it is bad, and it does not help readiness. Pete Hegseth is one of the people who's going to get rid of that, and Donald Trump's another one.
Yeah.
But there's leaders, and I know them. I've known them, and I have worked with them and for them, who the woke ideology, the left government being the supreme authority sort of thing, worldview, is in those people, and those people are in leadership positions in the military.
They won't be for long.
Yeah.
With Hegseth, I think that's the other half. Now, here's one. Hegseth is a professing Christ follower now. And could you imagine going into that environment as a professing Christ follower with a boss who's rewriting and flipping the script, right? Pete Hegseth has basically got a blank checkbook. I mean, you think about it, where whatever he's going to decide to do with what we've got, he's going to have support.
Oh, yeah.
And I can only imagine, as somebody who is professing to follow Christ, as somebody who is now a family man and who has served and understands, just like you, Jared, the ins and outs of the military. He served under those same people too.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to go in and be like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
Nope.
So much of it, like people say, oh, his technical skills and abilities, because he was a major, which is all I ever made it to in my military career. But, he was only a major, so he didn't see anything above, brigade level command, that sort of thing. This is a silly argument because you have the experts. You understand what the military is doing. He'll get access to this top secret, SCI, TSSCI information, all that stuff. That'll be probably a wake up call to him to some degree. But it's the culture that matters. It's a huge component of it. And if you have the right team around you, which I have no doubt that he does, the rest of that stuff, it's decision making. And
that's exactly right. It's decision making.
Because even as a low level leader, you're presented with new information, you're presented with new scenarios, you learn that information, you adapt, you make decisions.
Yep.
That's just it.
Well, and I think you said it, the team around you. So, and I go back to the CNN clip that we watched, Trump and Musk, that, one of the anchors on CNN is saying that was the smartest move any president has ever done. I mean, okay, that's a big statement for CNN to say about Trump.
Yes, it is.
That's the smartest move any president has ever done. He's surrounding himself with people, just like Hegseth is going to have, and everybody, Kristi Noem's got. They're all surrounding themselves with people who believe in the American value, who believe most of them are Christ followers.
Yep.
That's insane to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was going to say, what's Tulsi? Is she Hindu?
I don't know what Tulsi is, other than she's got that white hair that just
that's been, it's like it's flip-flop back and forth, because now she may still be Hindu, but she speaks about God. Of course, that doesn't mean that she's speaking about
she might speak
God.
Vichy,
yes,
whatever,
but
it doesn't matter.
No.
You've got the majority of the people that you're surrounded by are an echo chamber of biblical value.
I was just curious, by the way. I'm not judging.
Oh no, I don't judge her except for that white hair. I don't understand it. She's not going gray anywhere. It's like, really? Why couldn't I got it? She's got that thing.
My beard is a proper representation of where the rest of me is.
Yeah, I'm same. So, but yeah, that's the thing that I look at with Hegseth and these guys is like that. There's been a few of them that are not afraid to say the name Jesus.
Yeah.
Openly and publicly.
J.D. Vance is another one.
Where you just sit back and go, did he just say that? You never hear that.
Oh, you didn't hear that for the last 4 or 5 years.
No.
You didn't hear that.
You didn't hear it in the first Trump administration.
No, you did
Well,
not.
actually, that's true.
No.
That's
But
true.
you're hearing it now. He's surrounding himself with it. So whether Trump is a believer in Christ or not, I do believe that these people are going to impact him, and he will.
Oh, yeah.
He will follow Christ. I think so. I'm praying he does.
I really, really hope so.
But
I really want to know if Joe Rogan does.
He's the one
I think
with, man.
Right now, I don't. But boy, I think he's getting closer.
Yeah,
I think he's
Jordan Peterson's another one where you sit back and go, well,
I know, because he talks about it.
Can't you just come out?
Yeah, but then he says stuff that it's like.
Now I read that he's going to walk people through the gospel, and it's like, all right, well, if you're going to try to walk people through the gospel, then the word never returns void.
Yep.
This is the silly thing about it. You want an atheist to believe in Christ, have him read the word, because it never returns void. It's going to deal him a blow where he's like, okay, wait a minute, maybe this is real. I don't know, and I can't imagine that he's done as much research in the word and still doesn't believe.
I think he does. I just think he doesn't want to come across as he wants to maintain.
You're talking about Joe Rogan?
No, I'm talking about Jordan Peterson.
Both, either one, either way you go. They want to maintain their persona. They want to. This is their paycheck.
He is. Well, I don't even think it's his paycheck. I think it's how he approaches delivering information to other people. He's been an academic for his entire life. He speaks. Everything is academic to him. If he loses that, is he afraid people are going to see him as just a Bible thumper? And
you're discredited. And to that point, you're discredited, right? Because he's in an arena of minds.
Right. Yeah.
And so the minute you bring out Jesus, it's like,
well, and his daughter has come out openly. His wife has come out openly.
Yeah.
She says, and she even, Michaela was it on Piers Morgan, I think?
I think so.
They were asking him the questions, and it was like, yeah, I'm still working on Dad, and he's, I think he is, but he won't
say it.
Won't say it.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan has people on, and he intentionally asks people questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Joe, the wheels are turning.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah. And therefore, when you question, you're going to find an answer, and that answer is going to be Jesus.
Yep.
Every time. Happened to Glenn Beck. Like even though it's a Mormon Jesus, it's Jesus in his mind, and I do believe that he's had enough influence where he understands maybe the difference between the real Christ and the Mormon version. But yeah, so
boy, you ever listen to Sam Shamoon?
Yeah,
about when he goes after Mormons, buddy.
Oh, if you want videos more about, I've got stuff.
He does not.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So till next week, let's do this because first of all, Ben, you weren't here last week, and I want you to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna design T-shirts.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. For Braver Than the Rest. I think we come up with 3 different kinds of shirts by 3 different guys, right?
Okay.
And then the people can vote. People
that'd be
can
nice.
buy and whatever. And then we've made a commitment that if you buy a shirt, you're on the show.
Oh, there we go.
It's that simple.
Yep.
Buy a shirt, you're on the show.
There you go.
So we'll have a night of call-ins or whatever.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's our homework assignment. We gotta come up with shirts.
Okay.
But until next week, because it is now, we've been on an hour and a half. It's time.
Yes.
It's just time. I mean, I could go a lot longer, but
by.
did Tennessee win tonight?
By 5 points.
Look at that. Blew a 30-point lead.
Yeah, buddy.
But they still did it. Till next week, if you have questions or want us to talk about or dive in deeper onto things, I know we've had a few different things that we've talked about bringing up, especially in the regards with the deconstruction movement of the church and everything else. And but man, this is like such a pivotal time for our nation. It just feels right to be like, let's go over what is happening. Let's talk about what God is doing through an imperfect vessel. Oh wait, David.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You don't have to be perfect. You can be deeply broken, but if you're going to submit and you're willing and he's surrounding himself with believers, there has to be an echo of Jesus in some of his decision making. And I'll tell you what, those little girls tonight, when he signed that bill separating men out of women's sports, that's a big win.
Oh,
that's a big win for them.
Beautiful moment.
Yes.
So, but if you want us to talk about something, or if you have questions at all, you can go ahead and reach out, not only through messaging us on Facebook, during the show,
hit us in the comments,
commenting, hitting like and all that on Rumble comments. We do respond to your comments. We try to hit them all.
Yep.
But you can also reach out to us at thebraverthantherest@gmail.com. But yeah, that's the show this week. Until next week, keep your eyes to the skies. Our King is returning, and man, even though it seems like it's going real good, he's still coming.
Yeah.
maybe sooner or later.
Absolutely.
Right?
You never know.
Braver Than the Rest. Signing off.